Hello, awesome people. I am Bianca Bonciu, and welcome back to the Awesomeness Podcast. Today, we're talking about something that sounds simple, but is actually one of the most transformative things you can learn. Feeling your emotions, not fixing them, not analyzing them, not distracting yourself from them, not pretending they're not there, just feeling them. Because most of us were never really taught how to do that. We were taught how to be productive, how to be responsible, how to keep moving, how to smile when we're hurting, how to say I'm fine when we're anything but fine. And over time, many of us become experts at avoiding our emotions. The problem is that emotions don't disappear just because we ignore them. They wait. And today I want to talk about why allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling may be one of the most freeing gifts you can give yourself. Somewhere along the way, many of us received the message that emotions are a problem. We've been taught that feeling is a weakness. We've been taught, don't cry, don't be dramatic, don't be sensitive, don't overreact, stay strong, keep it together. So we learn to suppress, we learn to distract, we learn to avoid. We stayed busy, we scrolled, we worked, we overthought, we worried, we entertained ourselves endlessly. Anything to avoid sitting with what was actually happening inside of us. And here's the interesting thing. Most of us don't even realize we're doing it. It becomes automatic. The second sadness appears, we reach for our phone. The second anxiety appears, we start planning. The second grief appears, we distract ourselves. The second loneliness appears, we turn on a screen. We're not trying to hurt ourselves. We're trying to protect ourselves. But sometimes the strategies that once protected us begin to trap us. Because avoiding your emotions doesn't make them disappear. Here's the truth that changed my life. Avoiding emotions doesn't remove them, it stores them. Think about that for a moment. Every emotion you refuse to feel doesn't magically vanish. It gets pushed into storage. And eventually that storage room gets pretty crowded. Then one day you'll find yourself feeling overwhelmed, anxious, burned out, emotionally reactive, exhausted, and you can't even identify why. Sometimes it's because you've been carrying feelings that were never fully processed. Not because you're broken, not because you're weak, not because you're doing life wrong, but because you're human, and humans are designed to feel. When emotions aren't felt, they often show up in other ways. Sometimes they become anxiety. Sometimes they become chronic overthinking. Sometimes they become irritability. Sometimes they become emotional triggers. Sometimes they become exhaustion. Because holding emotions down requires energy. Imagine trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can do it for a while, but it takes effort, constant effort, and eventually you're exhausted. A lot of people think they're tired because they're busy. But sometimes they're tired because they're carrying emotions that have never allowed themselves to feel. One of the biggest myths about emotions is that feeling them makes you weak. I actually think the opposite is true. Feeling emotions requires courage. It takes courage to sit with grief. It takes courage to acknowledge fear. It takes courage to admit you're hurt. It takes courage to say, something painful happened and it affected me. That's not weakness. That's honesty. And honesty is incredibly powerful. Awareness is powerful because you cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. The moment you become aware of what you're feeling, you begin reclaiming your power. I like to think of emotions as messengers, not enemies, just messengers. Fear may be trying to tell you something feels uncertain. Anger may be showing you that a boundary was crossed. Sadness may be asking for care and compassion. Grief may be honoring something that mattered deeply to you. The emotion itself isn't the problem. The problem usually comes when we resist it, when we fight it, when we judge ourselves for having it. Imagine receiving an important letter and refusing to open it. The message doesn't disappear. You just don't receive the information. Emotions work the same way. One of the most important things I've learned is this. Emotions are designed to move. They're like weather. They come, they pass through, and eventually they leave. But when we resist them, we often get stuck. We become afraid of the feeling itself. So instead of feeling sadness, we fear sadness. Instead of feeling fear, we fear fear. Instead of feeling grief, we fear grief. And suddenly we're carrying both the emotion and the resistance to the emotion. That's twice the weight. Sometimes freedom begins when we simply allow the feeling to exist, without judgment, without rushing it, without trying to make it leave. So what does this look like in real life? The next time you feel something uncomfortable, try this. Pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Not what are you thinking, not what's wrong with you, not how to fix it, just what am I feeling? Then name it. Fear, sadness, disappointment, loneliness, grief, anger, anxiety, whatever it is. Research actually shows that naming emotions can help reduce their intensity. But beyond that, naming them creates awareness, and awareness creates space. Once you've named the emotion, simply allow it to be there. You don't have to like it, you don't have to agree with it, you don't have to stay there forever. Just acknowledge it, like greeting a visitor. Okay, I see you. That's often where healing begins. The beautiful thing about feeling your emotions is that eventually they stop controlling you. Because you're no longer running. You're no longer fighting. You're no longer spending energy pretending they're not there. You're simply allowing yourself to be human. And something surprising happens. You begin feeling lighter. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you're no longer carrying the extra weight of resistance. You stop running. And in many ways, you come home to yourself. If you're going through something difficult right now, I want to leave you with this. You don't have to earn the right to feel what you feel. Your emotions are not a character flaw. They're not proof that you're weak. They're not proof that you're failing. They are just part of the human experience. Feel them, process them, release them. Trust that they can move through you. Because healing doesn't happen when we run from our emotions. Healing happens when we meet them with awareness, compassion, and courage. And sometimes the path to freedom isn't avoiding what you feel. It's finally allowing yourself to feel. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And remember, be gentle with yourself. You're doing better than you think. Until next time, stay awesome.